you'll see that it opens up this PHP folder here. So here I am on the C drive, and over here we have our PHP folder. And in here, there's just a bunch of files. So you really don't have to worry about any of these files. Obviously, don't touch any of them or modify any of them. But as long as we have these here in this folder, then we're ready to go. So we have everything downloaded. Now we have to do one more thing, which is called configuring our Windows path variable. Essentially what this means is we have to tell Windows that PHP is inside of this folder. So eventually we're going to want to run PHP and use it and use all of its functionality. And in order to do that, we have to tell Windows about it. So we basically just have to tell Windows where we put PHP. So down here, I'm going to go in my search bar, and I'm basically just going to start typing in environment. So ENVIRON. And this option over here should pop up. It says edit the system environment variables. This is what we want. So we're going to click on that. And this should open up a window where we can configure our path variable. So this window is going to open up here. There should be an option down here that says environment variables. You want to click that. And over here, there's going to be a couple different options. We want to go over here to this where it says variable path. So wherever you see this path variable, I'm just going to click edit. So we want to edit this variable. And basically this is just a Windows system variable that kind of tells Windows where a bunch of executable files are. So what we want to do is we want to tell Windows about PHP, and we can do that by telling Windows where it is inside of this path variable. So I'm just going to click new over here. And then down here in this little typing box, we can just type in C:\PHP. So I'm basically typing in the location of the folder where I extracted all those PHP files. So once we do that, we can just click OK, and that's going to go ahead and be added to the path variable. So I'm going to click out of this, click OK over here. And now we want to make sure that that worked. So once again, I'm going to go down to the search bar, and I'm just going to type in CMD this time. And this option over here for command prompt should show up. So you want to click that. And the command prompt is basically just a way that we can interact with the computer using text commands. So down here in the command prompt, the first thing I'm going to do is just type in echo %, PATH in all capitals, and then %. And this is going to go ahead and print out that path variable. So we want to make sure that the entry PHP is in here. So we want to make sure that that folder is showing up there. As long as it's showing up there, then we successfully updated the path variable. Now the last thing that we want to do is just check to make sure PHP is working. So I'm just going to type in PHP-V, and I'm going to hit enter. And we should get this version number popping up for PHP. So as long as you get a version number popping up here and you're not getting any errors, then you've officially installed PHP on your computer. And believe it or not, that's actually all we're going to need to get started writing PHP and building an awesome website. So stick around for the next tutorial, and I'm going to show you guys how to get started creating your first PHP file.
My name is Munzir Dale. I'm a professor of electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. The partnership that we have with professional education has allowed us to create a new course that we have designed on no-code, AI, and ML. We have 12 weeks program. In those 12 weeks, you'll be exposed to recorded videos by lecturers, 5 MIT professors who have quite a bit of experience in this particular domain. You will have live mentored learning sessions, working with mentors and experts from the fields, from different aspects of applications, different dimensions of applications, that those people are accessible to you directly in a synchronous way. You'll have the opportunity for hands-on projects and experiences. To work on those projects, use the no-code tools that are provided to you. This is an experiential learning. You're engaged with people who are experts in the field. In addition to that, you will be granted 8 continued education unit CEUs by the Professional Education Program at MIT, in addition to an MIT certification. I look forward to all of you joining the no-code revolution in data science. Engaged with people who are experts in the field. In addition to that, you will be granted 8 continued education unit CEUs by the Professional Education Program at MIT, in addition to an MIT certification. I look forward to all of you joining the no-code revolution.
Say goodbye to Slack because chat's here and it's inside ClickUp. Everything you need in chat is here,
you will be granted
like the DMs and even your channels. But there's a ton more you can do. Chat conversations can lead to so many new ideas, and now you can turn those ideas into action with just a couple of clicks. Any chat message can be say goodbye to Slack because chat's here and it's inside. Select the message you want. Everything you need in chat is here, and click Create Task. Like the DMs, you can create any task details manually, but or there's a ton more with AI. Chat conversations can lead to so many new ideas, and assigning now turn those ideas into action context from the conversation clicks, just like magic. Any chat message, click up chat, say goodbye to Slack now because chat's here and it's inside. Select the message you want. Everything you need in chat is here, and click Create Task. Like the DMs, you can create any task details manually, but or there's a ton more with AI. Chat conversations can lead to so many new ideas, and assigning now turn those ideas into action context from the conversation clicks, just like magic. Any chat message, click up chat, say goodbye to Slack now because chat's here.
This tutorial, I'm going to talk to you guys about
everything using the text and click Create Task. Like
so whenever we're writing our PHP programs, one of the most important parts of the process is the environment where we're writing our
assigning now turn those ideas into
and really with PHP is simple. Any text editor is going to work. Any text editor where you save a dot. This tutorial, I'm going to talk to you guys about using the text editor in PHP. So you don't need some. So whenever we're writing our PHP programs, one of the most important parts of the process is if you already have experience working with assigning now CSS, JavaScript, and really with PHP simple, any text editor is going to go for text editor where you save a dot. Generally, you're going to be writing guys about using text editor CSS or PHP. So you don't need some. So whenever we're writing, you already have a text editor. Any those languages, you already have experience working with. But if you're using CSS, JavaScript, and really with PHP simple, and I'll kind of walk you guys through those for generally you're going to be writing guys about using CSS or PHP. All you need so whenever we're writing, you already have a text editor. Any those languages, you already have a lot of experience working with. But if you're using CSS, JavaScript, and really with PHP simple, and I'll kind of walk you guys through those for generally you're going to be writing guys about using CSS or PHP. All you need so whenever we're writing, you already have a text editor. Any those languages, you already have a lot of experience working with. But if you're using CSS, JavaScript, and really with PHP, and I'll kind of walk you guys through those generally you're going to be writing guys about using CSS or PHP. Whenever we're writing, you already have a text editor. Any those like I said, you already have a lot of experience working with. But if you're really JavaScript, and really with PHP, and I'll kind of walk you guys through those generally you're going to be writing guys about using CSS or PHP. Whenever we're writing, you already have a like I said, any those like I said, you already have a lot of experience working with. But if you're really JavaScript, and really with PHP, and I'll kind of walk you guys through those generally you're going to be writing guys. Go ahead and see that. Already have a like I said, any website. Like I said, you already have a lot of experience working with. Like I said, and really JavaScript, and really with PHP, and I'll kind of walk you guys through to get to your front there. I'm on go ahead and see that. Go ahead. I really I already have a like I said, any website. Like I said, you already have a lot of experience working with. Like I said, and really basically yeah, that's Like the web address of your local computer, and this basically just means that we have a web server running on our local machine, and it's really like the web address. Now, if you're on OS X, this might be different. It's probably, and this basically just means that we have a web server running on our local machine. That's basically where it's exit out of this window. Now, if you're on OS X, but this make sure that you don't exit out. And this basically just means that what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here running on. So that's basically where I'm going to go to that. Exit out of this window. Now, if you're on OS X, but this is where exit out. And this basically just means, in other words, this is where PHP is going to start looking. That's basically where I'm going to go to that. Folder www. So www is just going to stand for like our website. You can name it whatever you want, but I'm just going to name mine www. And now what I want to do once I have this www folder created is I want to create a PHP file. And to do that, I'm actually going to open up my text editor. So over here, I'm going to open up Atom, which is the text editor that we installed in the last tutorial. And if you're not using Atom, then you can just use whatever text editor that you want. It doesn't really matter. And in here, I'm basically going to import this folder. So I'm just going to come up and say File, and I'm going to say Add Project Folder. And now we're just going to go to Users, Mike D, and then we're going to add this www folder. And this is basically just going to let me see it while we're developing. So I'm going to click Select Folder, So now we have www over here in our little navigation window. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to click new file, and we want to create a PHP file. So I'm just going to create a PHP file, and I'm just going to call it site.php. And you can name this whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you name it. I'm gonna name this site, and you need to have this .php extension. So I'm just gonna click enter, and this file is gonna go ahead and get created for us. So once we have this file open, now we can start writing some code. Now here's the thing about PHP is very tightly coupled with a language called HTML. And HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's basically a language that we can use to build websites. So if you've ever built a website before, then you've used HTML. Now, in order to program in PHP, in order to really get everything you can out of PHP, you're gonna wanna have a good understanding of HTML. By no means do you have to be an expert at HTML, but you should at least understand like what HTML is and how it works and sort of what's going on. I'm just gonna kind of assume that you guys have a basic knowledge of HTML. And if you don't know anything about HTML, we actually have an entire course on it here on Draft Academy, so you can check that out. But for this course, I'm just gonna assume that you already understand the basics of HTML. So I'm not gonna be going over HTML basics. I'm just gonna assume that you know it. So this PHP file over here, site.php, this is actually very similar to an HTML file. So essentially, we can write HTML inside of this file, and it's going to work just like it would work with a normal HTML file. For all intents and purposes, a PHP file and an HTML file are the same. It's just that in a PHP file, we can write PHP code. But everything else is pretty much the same, so it'll work the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come over here and just set up a basic HTML skeleton. So here we just have this very basic skeleton for an HTML page. And inside of this HTML page, we're actually going to write our PHP code. So whenever we want to write PHP code inside of an HTML file, we can actually just come down here, and I'm just going to come down here into the body, and we can create special PHP tags. So everything in HTML is a tag, right? So anytime that you're like laying out something or you're doing something, generally you're doing it inside of a tag. And we can create a PHP tag, and inside of that PHP tag, we can write our PHP code. So a PHP tag is very simple. I'm just gonna make a less than sign, I'm gonna make a question mark, and I'm gonna type out PHP, and then I'm just gonna make a couple new lines, and you'll see down here we need a question mark and a greater than sign to end it off. So anything that I put inside of these tags is gonna be considered PHP code, all right? And I'm just gonna show you guys one simple PHP instruction that we can write, and then in the next tutorial, we're gonna look at some more instructions. But I just wanna show you guys like how we can basically set this up and make sure that everything's working. I'm just gonna type out echo, and I'm gonna make an open and close parentheses, and I'm gonna type a semicolon after this. And in here, I'm gonna make an open and close quotation marks, and I'm just gonna type out hello world. So I'm saying echo hello world, and this is actually a PHP instruction. And what this is going to do is it's going to print something out onto the screen. So what we can do now is we can save this file, and remember over here I still have my PHP server running, and it's saying document root is users Mike D, and it has this address. If you remember, we stored our PHP file in that www folder. So I can just make a /www, and then I can say / and I'm going to type in the name of the PHP file. So it was site.php. And so now we're navigating to the folder where we're storing all of our files, and then I'm typing in the file name, and now when I click enter, it should bring us over here to this page. And you'll see when I go to site.php, it's printing out onto the screen hello world. So basically, we have successfully run our first PHP program. We have everything set up, and we're ready to start working some more. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how you can use the echo command in PHP to write HTML from inside of your PHP code. So this is going to be kind of cool. Now in the last tutorial, I showed you guys this very basic PHP command called echo. And we basically just typed out echo in open and close parentheses, an open and close quotation mark, and then we typed out hello world. And then finally, we ended this off with a semicolon. And when I went over here and refreshed my browser, we saw that hello world showed up over here. And that's kind of just like a super basic line of code. So I'm going to actually show you guys sort of what this does, and we're going to break it down. So echo is basically a command in PHP, which allows us to write information out onto the HTML document. So if I was to come over here and I viewed the page source of this HTML document, you'll see over here that we're actually printing out hello world inside of the actual document. So when I came over here and I said echo hello world, this line of text got printed out inside of our HTML file. And that's basically what that echo command does, is it allows us to write HTML out to our HTML files. And that's kind of cool. So basically the way the echo command works is I just say echo, and I can put these open and close parentheses, and then I can just basically type out whatever HTML I want to put onto the screen. And then after this line of code, I'm going to put this semicolon. And that semicolon is actually really important. Anytime we write a line of code in PHP, we want to make sure that we include that semicolon. And actually with this echo command, if I wanted, I could get rid of these parentheses, and you could just leave it like this. So I could either use it like this, or I could use it with parentheses around it. So I'm going to show you guys some cool stuff we can do with this echo command. In addition to just typing out regular text, I could also type out HTML code inside of these quotation marks. So for example, let's say I wanted to print out a header for my website. I could go in here and just type out H1, and I could say like Mike's site, and then I could end off this H1. And now when I run my website over here, when I refresh the page, you'll see that this is actually getting rendered as an H1. And if we came over here and refreshed this source, you'll see that an H1 is actually getting put onto the page over here. So not only was I typing out text, but I was also typing out HTML. And that's one of the cool things about this echo command, is essentially inside of these quotation marks, I could put any valid HTML that I want, and it'll actually get rendered over there on the browser. So this is really cool. And if I wanted, I could just like make another one of these. So we could come down here and we could say echo, and now I could make like a paragraph, for example. So I could say like, this is my site, and we'll end this off. And actually, if I wanted, I could also put like a horizontal rule here. So I could say like HR. And then I also want to remember, anytime I write out a line of code in PHP, I always want to put this semicolon here. So I'm going to put a semicolon there and a semicolon there. And that basically just tells PHP like, hey, we're done writing this line of code, and now we're going to write another line of code. So now when I head over to my web browser, you guys will see that we're actually getting this little website. So it says like Mike's site, we have the horizontal rule, and then it says, this is my site. So from inside that PHP code, we're actually